This next story sounded like a joke at first, but so far it appears to be legit. Thousands of citizens across the country are using a website to send petitions to the White House. Here's what they're asking for: permission for their state to secede peacefully from the Union. It appears to be some sort of protest over last week's vote.
Petitions, Shannon, making it very clear, as you said, these are peaceful protests, kind of aimed at showing just how frustrated they are with the direction of the country, mostly the bigger government.
Following the 2012 presidential election, a few thousand dissatisfied citizens began calling for their states to secede from the Union due to their dissatisfaction with the results. These unhappy supporters are actually joining a small but very vocal group of Americans who have for centuries sought to sever various ties, be they political or cultural, with the United States. In 1789, Vermont became the 14th state to join the Union, but not before first existing as an independent nation with its own money and identity. Since the 1760s, the so-called Green Mountain Boys, led by Ethan Allen, defended their state from what they viewed as intrusion by New York. They marched under the hymn, "Come York or come Hampshire, come traitors or knaves, if ye rule over our land, ye shall rule over our graves. Our vow is recorded, our banner unfurled. In the name of Vermont, we defy all the world." Amongst some Vermonters, this identity is still strong, and calls for a second Vermont Republic are being raised. Another state with a more famous history as an independent republic is Texas, who joined the United States in 1845. Previously the Republic of Texas, the Texan identity remains prevalent in pop culture, and is even featured as part of Texas's popular advertising slogan, "It's like a whole other country." The Lakota people of the central United States have long desired their independence and to establish their own state, Lakota.
Actor and activist Russell Means is the figurehead of Lakota resistance against the U.S. government. He says the U.S. government has repeatedly broken its treaties. Russell Means may not represent everyone on the reservation, but many Lakota are listening to his call to break away from the U.S. and become a sovereign nation. The day-to-day problems on the Pine Ridge Reservation are many. It has one of the highest unemployment and infant mortality rates in the country. The average household income is just around $4,000 per year.
This was all our land. All this United States was ours, and they all took it from us and left us right here where we're at.
Although independence for the Lakota seem unlikely in the near future, like Vermonters, Texans, and even the beleaguered Mitt Romney supporters, they all feel a common identity of having a different identity. Progressing into the Pacific Northwest, various dissociated movements for an independent Cascadia have floundered since President John Quincy Adams referred to the Pacific Northwest as the Empire of Astoria. Today, many of the movements for independence in the Pacific Northwest focus on cultural rather than political independence, creating yet another independent identity within the United States. Moving further north along the Pacific coast, we find that the U.S. state of Alaska also has its own sovereignty movements, built on a desire for political and economic independence from the continental United States. The movement has even gained some popular support, claiming Todd Palin, husband of former Alaskan Governor Sarah Palin, as a member. Out in the Pacific, the island of Hawaii maintains an active culture of independence among its native population. In 1893, Hawaii was an independent kingdom under the rule of Queen Liliuokalani. In 1893, she was forced to abdicate her throne by a force of U.S. Marines. The Republic of Hawaii was then founded with Sanford B. Dole, an American plantation owner, as president. The new republic was then quickly annexed as a state. This succession of events has left many native Hawaiians feeling like a conquered people, and many actively maintain their identity as a people that were, and ought to be, sovereign. Going back in time, the most famous independence movement in U.S. history, the American Civil War, began when South Carolina and 10 other states formally declared secession. The cause of secession and the subsequent war was a Southern dislike for states' rights. specifically the rights of northern states to free slaves that made it into their territory, which they felt to be a threat to the institution of slavery. In South Carolina's Declaration of Secession, it is stated, "In many of these non-slaveholding states, the fugitive is discharged from the service or labor claimed, and in none of them has the state government complied with the stipulation made in the Constitution. Thus, the constituted compact has been deliberately broken and disregarded by the non-slaveholding states, and the consequence follows that South Carolina is released from her obligation." The result was a long and bloody war over slavery that eventually failed to result in an independent Confederacy. From wanting a different president, to declaring sovereignty over national homelands, to the right to own slaves, many groups in the United States have fought for their independence from the United States over the past 3 centuries. Although their reasons are many and various, all shared the fact that they did not feel themselves to be distinctly American. This leaves us with an important question. What does it mean to be an American?